Last video that I'm shooting this evening. I've shot several of them on back deck tonight, so I thought I'd hop out here and finish this last one, put it in queue on YouTube. John, do you love pain, grief, anxiety, embarrassment, and all of the other negative physical and emotional senses are part of the human experience? How do you relate to them? I recognize them as what they are. Do I love pain? Physical pain, for me, when I think of physical pain, I think, oh, that's the place that I need to put my focus and attention on. It's like a look over here, right? But when I put my focus and attention on the physical ailment, I look for the bigger, broader picture of it, because the body is a representation of our belief. And if your back goes bad, the first question I would ask is, do you feel like you're overburdened? Because just like every pack mule in history, when you overload them, their back goes bad. Does your left side hurt and the side of your heart hurt? And are you afraid of being loved? Or is your right side giving pain? Because that's your giving side. These are just I'm not saying there's a set. These are from my perspective. Everybody sees the world differently. So for me, I see it coming from the right and receiving from the left. So when I see my physical ailments and my pains, I say there's an energetic blockage somewhere, because you wouldn't have energetic ailments or pains without some sort of energetic blockage. Grief, anxiety, embarrassment, all of them is the fear of not having love. Grief, you're afraid of you're grieving over not having the love of that person that was here with you. Anxiety is the fear of not being loved for failing. Embarrassment is the feeling of not being loved for something I've done. And all of the negative physical, emotional sensations that are part of the experience. Do I love them? I love them away. I recognize that I'm in fear. And when I recognize that I'm in fear, and I label it as fear, those emotions dissipate. In the words of Yoda, named must your fears be before banish it you can. Named must your fears be before banish it you can. You have to label your fears. All of your negative emotional states, all of them, can be based in some fear. Even the fear of death is the fear of not being loved. Because people fear death because they don't know what's going to happen on the other side, and they think it might not be loving, right? And because they feel that way and they fear that, they fear death, right? When you look at the world from the perspective of grief, pain, anxiety, embarrassment, and all these physical and emotional sensations, what I see is potential anchors. People who will latch onto them and identify themselves as those things. I am embarrassed. I am anxious. I am grieving, right? And they don't let them go. They stay anchored to them. Do I grieve when someone passes away? Yes. How long do I grieve? For a very brief time. It sounds callous almost, doesn't it? I grieve at the loss of their love, but I remember them for who they were. And I share stories of how wonderful they were. And I remember the good things that I lived with them and experienced with them. Because that's who they are. They were that loving side, right? That small thing at the end where they died, that's not them. Why would I define them by them not being here? It's just like, why do you define Jeshua as that bloody cadaver on the cross? That's not who he was, right? It's not who he was. He was that man who showed us our potential, showed us our ability, right? So I don't focus on grieving him. I focus on the laughter I have with him. And quite honestly, life is eternal. They're looking over at you from the other side, and they don't want to see you grieve. They want to see you being the joyful, loving person they loved in the physical world. Best way you can honor them is to do that for them. Anxiety, love them first. Do the things that you do the best you can, and don't worry about what other people think of you, because when you're worrying about what other people think of you, you're literally in fear of not having their love. Just love what you do. Do your best you can, and if somebody gets mad or angry or whatever, that's really their problem. You can't let them down. They let themselves down by the choices they make. Right? Don't expect too much of anyone. And that sounds terrible too, but let people do their best, and respect them enough to let them do their best. And if their best doesn't meet your standards, then you figure that out when that happens. But it's not about judgment or anxiety and embarrassment. Everybody screws up sometimes. Everybody messes up. Nobody is flawless. Nobody's infallible. Give yourself permission to be fallible. I have done some goofy things in my life, on stages and in personal interactions, and I did a whole bunch of comedy sword fighting stunt shows. I took lots of classes in sword fighting. Spent money on them. You know what that means? That means I spent a lot of money to feel really stupid, right? Because I didn't know, right? I wasn't embarrassed. I knew that I did not have the information. So I went and I got the information. When you mess up, it's just a learning experience for you. And if someone's going to judge you for it, then they're not really a loving, caring friend. And that's information too. So that's my thought on this. You guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. The John of New channel is solely funded by your generous donations and purchases of private readings and merchandise. To help out, go to johnofnew.com or use the donation link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.